40 more seconds. I haven't started yet, so it's fine.
I was looking for extra tables, but I don't think they're in here.
Looking for what? Didn't hear it. Have you ever tried to guess how long 30 seconds is? So as you shut your eyes, and I say now, okay? And then in 30 seconds, what you think is 30 seconds, you raise your hand, for example. Have you done that before?
Yes.
Some of you have, some of you. Well, we're going to do it now, okay? And so, my stopwatch happening. Clocks. Stopwatch. Okay, so try to sit up. It doesn't matter this so much, but eventually even if you don't sit up straight, pay attention when you're not sitting up straight, and you make it a conscious decision that I'm tired, I want to slouch, and that's fine. But just be aware of, okay, I'm slouching now. And sometimes you want to sit up straight. Okay, I can sit up straight. Okay, so I'm going to shut your eyes. When I say go, I want you, after what you think is 30 seconds, raise your hand. But keep your eyes shut until I say, okay, open them. Okay? Got it? Okay, so here we go. Now. Okay, so if you haven't raised your hand yet, you're way off. Right. Okay, we've done it. We can go have coffee now. Some of you were a bit early. Most of you were late. So most of you felt that 30 seconds was longer than it actually is. But it doesn't really matter. What matters was that you were paying attention to that moment of time, that period of time, and you were trying to guess what 30 seconds was. Okay. So this session is about how to use your Shakuhachi to meditate. And the very first thing I hope I've demonstrated is you do not need your Shakuhachi to meditate. That's the one thing. You do not need this piece of bamboo in order to meditate. But it's kind of fun to use the Shakuhachi to meditate. Okay, the second thing that we need to talk about before we go into the how, is the what. Okay, how do we meditate with or without a Shakuhachi? First means we have to know what we are doing. Otherwise, how do we know how to do what we don't even know what we're doing? So it's like, okay, how do you ride a unicycle? Well, it's easy. You just get on it, and because there's 3 wheels, you just go, Hang on, wait. That's not the right what. That's a tricycle, that's not a unicycle. So Meditation. What's meditation? How many people's in this room? 20, 30? There are probably as many definitions of meditation in this room as there are people. Each one of you possibly have different definitions of meditation. Okay, which one's right? There are as many right answers to that question as there are in this room. How can that be? So what if everything's right, then nothing's right? Right, yeah? Well, Buddhism has a definition of meditation. The mindfulness people have a definition of meditation. There are definitions out there. And if you don't know what your definition of meditation is, there's a lot of definitions. They're there for you to find out. The Buddhist definition of meditation can be, it's not the only way to describe it, but it can be described as a means to stop the suffering, particularly in our next life. In Buddhism, the meditation is not so that we can be more productive. It's not so that we can feel good. It's to not be reborn as a human again, and certainly not to be reborn as a hungry ghost. Okay, maybe that's not most people's definition of meditation. And yet you look at the way that Buddhists are doing it, it looks like meditation. And of course there are many definitions of Buddhism, Buddhist meditation. The meditation that you see in Chan meditation, looks like meditation to me. Do they even talk about rebirth? Do they even talk about that? No, something else. The point I'm getting at is that first you've got to decide what your definition of meditation is. It's not for me to tell you. I have my ideas. They're not your ideas. By definition, they're wrong for you. What's right for me is not right for you. Could be, though. Definitely not right. So that's one thing. So for the purpose of this class, we have to define what meditation is. Who wants to define the definition today?
Being fully present.
Being fully present. Okay. Yeah?
Connected with yourself.
And connected with yourself. Okay. I don't want too many definitions because we've only got, but does that work for everybody? Being fully, say it again?
Being fully present.
Being fully present, connected to yourself. Okay, so just like my first question about meditation, you got to define it. Well, you have to define that too. Being fully present, connected with myself. So first of all, what's being? What does that mean? Okay, fully. I kind of understand that. Being fully present. What does that mean? What's present? What's present? Well, it's not past. It's not future. It's present. Okay, present. I get it. Okay, being fully present. There's no subject in that sentence. Who is being fully present? Okay, being fully connected with myself. Okay, there's an object there, myself. Okay, that's what you said, right? That's myself. Yeah. Okay, so being fully present, connected with myself. You still don't know who's being fully present, because it could be somebody else connected with myself, but it's myself. So self. So what's the definition of self? I mean, you get the idea? We could spend the whole time just talking about, get your definitions right. What are you talking about? What do you mean when you say something? What's the point? However, we're going to work with this. So it's vague. It works, but it's vague. Being fully present, connected with myself. And when we tried to figure out what the 30 seconds was, well, I guess we were fully present. Were you? Were some of you thinking, oh, I wonder if this is 30 seconds are up? Oh, did I get it right? How long do I have to hold my hand up? Being fully present, connected to myself. So, I personally think, and this is just purely my own opinion, that being fully connected, being fully present, connected with myself, which from now on, in the next hour, will define meditation as that. So when I say meditation, I mean being fully present, connected with myself. It could be someone else. So we could, halfway through the class, okay, we've done with that, let's have another definition. And then we could work with that. Meditation is flexible. Flexibility is, in my opinion, a good thing. Okay, so I'll talk about my own opinion now with meditation, being fully present, connected with myself. For me, the important thing of being fully present, connected with myself, i.e. meditation, is the motivation that I have. Why? It's the why. So I said, well, what's the what? And I said, well, the question of how is in the program. How do we meditate? And the first thing I said, well, okay, before we know how, we have to know what. Okay, so now I'm saying, here's another one. It's why. So there's 3 questions already. I don't know. Why are you motivated to be here today? Why are you? Well, I'm here today because I play Shakuhachi, and this is the event, in the whole Shakuhachi world and universe. This is the place to be. We're so lucky. Well, why in this room? Well, where do I start? I'm in this room because I have this idea with this meditation thing, and because I heard this and that, and I read this book, and well, why did that happen? Why aren't your friends that were in primary school with you end up in this room with you too? Or why didn't one of your siblings end up in this room too? Why didn't your neighbor next door who lived in the same neighborhood, almost the same house, not quite, went to the same school, did all the same things, didn't end up in this room? Okay. So then you go back, okay, well, it's genes. Yeah, okay, so the genes, where did the genes go? Well, it's my parents, my great grandparents. And why is that? Well, because then you go back, well, there's not even humans, and then there's one-cell animals, and it's a Goldilocks Earth, and the Earth got hit by something else that created the moon, and then made the Earth just right, and before that was that, and we had this star that became a perfect sun, and before the Big Bang. So we're back to the Big Bang. Right? So the why, I didn't hear that. What'd you say?
I said there it was.
There it was. Good timing. It's all about timing. Yeah, perfect. Brilliant.
Enlightenment. That's it.
There you go. Yeah. See, and I missed it. So am I here in the now? Okay, so motivation. You got to ask yourself why. I mean, you don't have to. I suggest that it's valuable to ask oneself why. Okay, that's the one thing. And there's no correct answer. The only wrong answer is no answer, and even that's iffy to say that no answer is a wrong answer. But to have not thought about it, maybe that's not so good. That's one thing, motivation. Then the second thing that, and probably the most important thing that I want you to leave this room with, and I'll just tell you now and you can leave, and because really that it kind of ends there. It's effort. Effort. For me, meditation, regardless of why I'm doing it, and regardless of whether I do it with the Shakuhachi or without the Shakuhachi, that's how I do it. And regardless of how I do it with the Shakuhachi, which I promise you we will get to specifics, requires effort. And effort is a wonderful word. Effort. Okay, effort. That's another one. What's the definition of effort? You put effort and motivation, you combine the two. Motivation with effort, what does that mean? Well, that gets back to being present with myself. Because it's whose effort is it? It's my effort. It's not your effort. You know, you can meditate as much as you want, it won't help me. It's my effort. It's my motivation. It's me. And being in the present, who's present? It's my present. It's not your present. And your present is very different from my present. We demonstrated that because your 30 seconds was very different from everybody else's 30 seconds. Some of you kind of raised it kind of together. No one immediately, like just exactly together. And even if you happen to luck out and do it together, still it's a different present. So effort and motivation. And they're linked, right? Without motivation, it's hard to put in the effort. Effort also implies, and motivation, the whole idea it's all about me, which many people think, you know, oh, how selfish and egotistical, it's all about me. Oh yeah. You know, he just can sense that he thinks it's all about himself, you know, something. Effort and motivation and all about me requires something that many of us also forget in this equation of how you meditate and why you meditate, right? And what meditation is, and that is responsibility. It's my responsibility to meditate. It's my responsibility to put in the effort, and it's my responsibility to be aware of who I am and what I do and my actions. Really? Well, what was all that bullshit about being back to the Big Bang? I wasn't responsible for the Big Bang and how things kind of, instead of being everything the same, the matter that was created started forming clumps, and that's why we're here, because it wasn't just all the same, it was clumpy. Whose responsibility is that? So is it really my responsibility? Motivation, effort, responsibility. Okay. What? How? Why? All right. And then finally, it's like we're going to play. You know what we're doing? What we're going to do right now? We're going to fiddle with this tall grass. And statistically, what is it? Right now, my age, my gender. Statistically, I have about 8 more years left. Okay, and then what happens? You know, where's the why and the how and the present and the me? You know, where happens then? And I've only been around for, you know, a little while too. What about all that before? Does it really matter? You know? So if it doesn't matter, why? Why are you doing it? Why do you want to meditate? It doesn't matter. Why do you want to learn how to meditate with your food? Doesn't matter. Right. So. Okay. Every single meditative practice in the world that I know of, and I don't know of all of them, so I could be wrong. Every single esoteric religion that uses meditation as a means to their end, and each of the religions have different, or spiritual practices have different ends, use breath, use breathing as part of the meditation. They either talk about it, or there's methods, or there's something. Breath is there, which makes sense because breath is what it's all about. As I mentioned previously, we breathe all our lives. First thing we do when we're born, the baby whack, and it starts to breathe. Right? And the last thing we do is our last exhalation. And we're doing it all the time, and we're doing it even when we're under general anesthetic and anesthetics. We're breathing whether we're conscious or not, because it's automatic, but we can make it conscious, and it's the only thing that we can do that's both conscious and unconscious easily. We can consciously control our heart rate too, but it's harder. Not really. But it's not as easy as the breath. It's not as noticeable as the breath. So you guys picked the right thing. This is good. It's good. But you don't need it because we can breathe without this, right? And all the spiritual practices other than the so-called suizin doesn't use this. So, however, we have it and we like it and we like the sound. There's other reasons why we play it, and so we might as well make use of being in the present. And what was yours again? Being in see? Okay, right again.
Being fully present.
Being fully present. You forgot yourself.
Connecting with
What did this
Connecting
lady
with
say?
self.
What is it?
Connecting with self.
Live
Con-
the moment.
Yes.
Yeah, but
I
connected.
see myself.
No. We gotta have your exact
Okay.
words. Connected with yourself.
Connected with
Yeah.
ourselves.
Connection.
Yeah.
Connection. It's connection. Okay, being fully present, connected with ourselves. We might as well use this. Being fully present, connected with ourselves. Being fully present, connected with ourselves. How many of you memorized a piece of music with your Shakuhachi? Okay. How many of you memorized a piece of music with your Shakuhachi that's 30 minutes long? Are you raising your hand for him?
That's the point.
Yeah, there you go. You're fully connected
Yeah.
with yourself.
That's what I point him because he's the player and I listen.
Ah,
I
so-
meditate
oh, so-
with that.
and so you hear it so many times. You memorize the damn thing. I've heard it enough. Shut up. Can you play another piece? Oh, that's fun. That's great. Okay, so breath with the Shakuhachi. Okay, Suizin, regardless of when this term was invented, regardless of whether or not it was really part of the Fuke sect or not, regardless whether or not the Fuke sect was really spiritual or not, regardless of that, it's still a neat idea. It's a great idea. Suizin. It's a great idea. It's really, and it's a great idea, particularly for us Shakuhachi players. Okay, so it doesn't matter. You don't need to legitimate an idea and a word that describes that idea as long as you can define it yourself. Right? So no excuses. Suizin's cool. That's cool. Historically, it's bullshit, but it's still cool. Who cares about history? We're being present now. We're in the present now, not history. Okay. So that's blowing. Oh, hang on. The breath is not just about blowing. No. So maybe Suizin isn't such a good word. Right. So what are the other parts of the breath besides the blowing? We know it's the 4 parts. It's the inhalation, the exhalation, and the pauses in between. And even if there are no pauses, there's a changeover, like dawn and dusk. There's dawn and dusk, and neither dawn nor dusk have anything to do. Well, they're not night, nor are they day. There's something different. Okay, how long does dawn and dusk last? Well, that's gray, literally. It's a gray area, isn't it? We don't know. Okay, so the same with the changeovers. But there is a changeover, right? And being fully in the present means, okay, being fully now. Well, so how long is now? Is it a second? Is it half a second? Is it 0.444 seconds? Is it 0.0000 seconds? Yep. I'll talk to you more about that, but we need to start playing some. So what I want you to do is put your flute to your chin. Okay, so we're gonna play but without any sound. Okay, flute to your chin. So those of you who don't have a flute, you're cool because you don't need one, right? Any sound. But we are not putting to our lips, because as soon as we put our flute to our lips, because we have done it so many times, we habitually have set up an instantaneous, unconscious reaction in our brain. Our brain is predicting what's going to happen. The brain has been taught as soon as this thing hits that and said, oh, we're going to try to get a sound. It's a prediction, and that's how our brain works. We predict based on past actions. The more you do that action, the more your prediction is going to be correct. It's going to be accurate. So we're going to short circuit our prediction by putting it here, but that's close enough, and yet we don't have any sound. So by doing this, our brain will predict how we should hold our mouth and blow, but without the sound in our conscious part of the brain, as opposed to the unconscious, will say, yeah, there's no sound, so relax, you can do it. So this is a great way to do blowing Zen, to do Sui Zen, right? Because we're not trying to get sound. So, okay, so let's just try this now, and then I'll tell you why you did it wrong. Shut your eyes. Inhale. Okay, and start blowing through your lips as if you're playing a very soft ray, and it's a beautiful sound. You got it spot on. And that's about 7, 8. I'm going to go to 20. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. It's on your chin. 10, 19, 20. Okay. Most of you have more air still. And you can do this without a flute. Right? So you got to do this too. You're in the room. So you have to do it. You don't need your flute. Let's do it again. How many of you had more air after 20? Yeah, okay. That's what I thought. Okay, one more time. I want to take a nice big, so you got a flute has to be here, not here, down here, on your chin, on the bottom of your chin. There's no way you're going to make sound, but it's close enough that your body thinks, yeah, I know that I'm comfortable here. And then you take a big breath and then you blow as if the flute is there. And in your head is this beautiful sound. And you blow for as long as you can. But I'm going to count to, I'll count to 20 again. Okay? So shut your eyes. Inhale. And go. Okay, that was 20 on my counts. Right, now I want you to put your flute to your mouth, and I want you to play Ray, Otsu Ray, and I want you to hold it for the count of 20. Okay, so now it's the same thing. And the same thing, except this time we're going to get sound, and you're going to play, and you all had, most of you, many of you had air left over, right? So this will be duck soup. Okay? Too easy, be easy. 20 seconds playing, okay, so this time, Ray, we're going to actually play. Okay, ready? Everyone ready? Put flute to your lips and shut your eyes though. Inhale. Play. Okay, maybe one person? Yeah? You guys, if most of you stopped before 20. Why? You had plenty of air when you didn't have why? What did you say?
I wasted most of my breath trying to get the sound.
Exactly. You wasted most of your breath trying to get the sound. You're using your breath to get the sound instead of your embouchure.
I didn't care.
Say that again?
I didn't care. I just blew.
And you lasted that.
Shorter, but
Shorter,
I
yeah.
didn't make the.
Yeah, so motivation.
didn't
So
make
the
intention.
motivation changed. The motivation here was just to blow for 20 seconds very smoothly. The motivation here, even if you didn't want to, even if you knew what I was going to do, the motivation here was sound, because your brain subconsciously predicted that's what you want to do. Right? Okay, so it's the motivation. That's interesting. Okay, so we could now discuss how you could translate that knowledge that I've got enough air. It's not that I'm lacking air, it's that I'm not using my embouchure effectively, or that I'm trying too hard, or psychologically, blah, blah, blah. But that's not the point of this. The point of this is to, how do you use your shakuhachi to meditate? Okay, that's the first exercise. That's one way to do it. So you blow here. First you just blow, and you, if 20 seconds not long enough, do 30 seconds. Next one, blow here. Try to make them the same. And even if you fail, this is another one. Even if you fail, that's okay too, because what is your motivation to do this? Your motivation to do this is to being fully in the present, connected with myself. Your motivation is not to be a good shakuhachi player. Your motivation is not to play good music. Your motivation is not to be able to perform in front of people at a World Shakuhachi Festival, being an invited guest to play. You know, how good is that, huh? That's not your motivation. Your motivation is something else. The motivation is just to be in the present, however we define that, being fully here, however we define the present, right? And connected with ourselves. So if you don't get the 20 seconds when you're making the sound, but you tried, you're still thinking about it. So there's no failure, right? There's no failure. Okay, so that's the first one. Okay, the next one, and this is why I said, okay, how you did it incorrectly. And I mentioned this again, those of you that attended my session yesterday, I talked a bit about this. And that's paying more attention to the other parts, but particularly, and I find this so ironic, and I don't either. So, and I'm not saying you guys are all, you know, hopeless. You know, I am too. There's no hope, okay? There is no hope. We're stuffed. Yeah, and then we die, so it doesn't matter anyway. However, you know, we're playing a wind instrument, and we need our wind, and we don't think about inhaling. We're thinking about how to play. We're thinking about what's going to happen during the blowing bit. But then nothing happens if you run out of air. You know, we're thinking about the phrase or the tone or this or that. Or even worse, we're thinking about something that's nothing to do with what we're doing now. At the very least, think about your inhalation. Okay, so here's an easy way to do it. And you can do this by playing a piece. And it can do it any piece, fast or slow, it doesn't matter. You just slow it down, because it slows you down. When you can't do something, like ride a unicycle or juggle, When you can't do that, what do? You simplify it. If you want to do something and you can't do it, you learn to do it by simplifying. Okay? Now with juggling, you simplify by starting with one ball. With playing music, one of the best, fastest, easiest, most effective way to simplify is to slow it down. Tell that to a juggler. Hey, simplify it, just slow it down. So it doesn't always work, but it works for us, it works for music, so slow it down, slow it down, slow it down, slow it down. Right? So what we can't do now is pay attention to our inhalation while we're playing a piece of music. That's the task that we can't do. So how do we learn to do that? Well, we slow things down so that we remember. Okay? So we have the opportunity to slow down. You know, in that sense, you say, well, Shakuhachi is so much easier to learn how to juggle because we can slow things down. Okay, so let's slow down our inhalation. One of the best ways to slow down your inhalation, and like so many other things, you do one thing and it has benefits. There's so many things that we can do ourselves that are the exact opposite of man-made medications. We have side effects. Not all of the things we do have good side effects, but very often they do. In this case, it is. It's not a bad side effect, it's a good side effect. And that's true with man-made medications sometimes too. You know, they make a medication for one thing and it turns out it's good for other things. We didn't know that. Fair enough. We're going to breathe through our nose. We're going to inhale through our nose. Okay? That's the first part. There's two parts, but first let's just learn. We're going to slow down the process of learning. We're going to simplify. We're going to start with just one ball instead of two. And the one ball is breathe through our nose. Okay, so here we go. Do you know Honshirabe? If you don't, just follow me. Okay? So we just go today, and then what do? You don't just go, ooh, no. Watch me. See how I shut my mouth, breathe through my nose. So your mouth is only open when you're blowing. All right? Here we go. So your mouth is shut. Take a breath. Now blow. Okay, shut your mouth. Okay, shut your mouth. Let's do this again. Can you hear me sing? I'm going to go today, and that'll cut over the Shakuhachi because it's a different tone, it's a different sound. So I don't have to sing loudly. I want you to play with me. This is not, we're doing this in order to learn and exercise. We're not doing this to show off how long we can hold a note. Or not show off, I'm being unfair. We're not doing this because it feels good and we want to play that long. We're doing this because we're in a group and we're trying to learn and exercise. So we're going to do it with me. So when I stop, you stop. That's another way of being present. Paying attention. We're going to pay attention. Okay, so here we go. Inhale. Okay. Okay, that's enough. Okay, that's enough. Easy enough. Now I want you to, right at the end of your inhalation through your breath, I want you to open your mouth. So you're going to go. Try it. Okay, blow out your air. Okay? Okay, so you're still inhaling when you open your mouth. Do it again. Blow out, and then. Now I want you to open your mouth before you stop inhaling. So what should happen is, because the nostrils are smaller holes than your mouth, so you requires a certain amount of muscle effort to get the air to go through the nostrils. Right? In other words, you're not getting the air to go through the nostrils. You're creating a partial vacuum, and if the only place where the air can come in is through these little nostrils, you need more effort to bring the air. And as soon as you open the mouth, it's bigger. It's just like you're opening the door, so you got an exhaust fan that's trying to draw in the air, and you open the door, suddenly more air. So it should go. So it doesn't have to be physical like that, but you should feel that. It's a hit. All right? So I want you to imagine that. So you imagine that you're breathing in this air, and then you suddenly get this poof, a spray of really good stuff, oxygen, right? So oh, wow, you really feel it. Okay, try it again. Ready? Blow out. Okay, inhale through your nose, and open your mouth. And it should be a hit, okay? Ideally, and this is again, it takes practice, the inhalation part, the muscle bit, is separate from what happens above your neck. So what happens below your neck is something that's not connected with what happens above your neck. And they're connected, but in your mind you can be able to be a piano player with the right hand and the left hand. But this can do one thing and that can do another. And even the fingers, this is doing that, but there's one finger that hits something louder. So you can hear this melody even though, okay? You want to separate your below your neck with above your neck. And that's another session. I'm not going to do that. But for now, if I go, I've used below my neck to get the hit. I want you to just open your mouth, and down here is the same. Do it again. Okay, ready? Blow out. Inhale. Again. Blow out. Okay. We're going to play Honshirabe again. Just that bit. I want you to play it fairly loudly, and you're gonna, we're not gonna spend a long time allowing you to use up all that beautiful air you've gotten into your brain, into your lungs now. We're gonna truncate it. So, here we go, ready? So. Play the whole piece like that. And yesterday I wagered that Well, I wagered it, it was a fake wager because it's not going to happen. That's why I could do it. But I said, if I could somehow determine how long you paid attention to your breath, because we were talking more about breath, after you left this room, okay? So in other words, I'm breathing, I'm inhaling, I'm exhaling, I'm inhaling, I'm exhaling, okay? As soon as that thought process stops, if I could measure that, I would bet $1 to $1,000 that after 5 minutes you would have stopped. Okay, even with the motivate, well, maybe not with the $1,000 motivation. In other words, if I lose, I pay you $1,000. If you lose, you pay me $1. Because after 5 minutes, we forget. And the reason I mention this is that probably if you tried to play Honshirabe using that breathing technique, you won't last till the end of the 5 minutes. Prove me wrong. Try it. Prove me wrong. Yeah, anyway. Okay, so now what I would like you to do now, and this is something we can do here, we can't do this later on. I want you to end at the same time. I'm tired of singing. I don't want to sing anymore. So I want you to begin and end at the same time. How do you do that? How you could possibly do that? You got to pay attention. Okay? So the task here is to begin and end the same time for those 3 phrases. Doing that. Okay, we're going to try it first, and then you're going to be totally train wreck, and then we'll try to do it better. I can show you a few things to help you do that. This is another way of using your flute to meditate, believe it or not. Why do you meditate? Motivation, back to motivation. Why do we meditate? To being fully in the present, connected to myself. But what is connected to yourself? The present is connected. What is the present? The present is not just me. The present is everybody in this room. The present is me being in this room right now with the sound of the air conditioner, kind of, or something happening. Maybe it's the lights, I can see people walking by. That's the present. So the present is everybody. The present is not just you. And that's the paradox. It's all about me, but it's not. But it really is, but it's not. Okay, so this is an exercise, another exercise in blowing Zen, and you can do this, the more you have, the harder it gets. Let's try it. Just those 3 phrases. Hang on. Wait. That wasn't together. You started too soon. You guys started too late. Let's do it again. Don't start too soon. Don't start too late. Some of you ended too late. That's pretty good, wasn't it? That was pretty good. How'd you do that? No conductor. Nobody's up here. And you did that. It's paying attention. You're paying attention. Paying attention. Being aware of what's around you. The motivation was to play together. The motivation for meditation may not be always to play together. Being fully in the present, connected to myself. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay. this time, I want you to pay attention to the pause before you inhale again. I was going to tell you the three magic sighs. I could tell you that, but it's nothing to do with the Shakuhachi. So I'm just trying to think how I can incorporate that. You have to start somewhere. So you blow out. Okay, so and then we're going to inhale through our nose, in our mouth, and then we're going to play. And we're going to play those three phrases again, but this time I want you to pay attention not only before you start the note, but I want you to inhale together. Okay, how do we know that? I want you to tap your foot when you start to inhale. So for example, we exhale. And then we do everything we did just now. So you tap your foot, then you start to inhale. And then you play the piece and you stop and tap your foot and then you inhale again. Okay? Got that? So it's the tapping of the foot that we want synchronized, but it's really just because we can't hear and be difficult to see everybody's beginning of the inhalation. We're paying attention to when we start to inhale. We're going to inhale now. We're going to inhale. Let's try it with me. We're going to inhale now. Okay, you can see me, right? So you got to do that by paying attention. Feel it. You got to feel it. Okay, so exhale. Okay, go. Slow down. Those of you that were early, you really slow down. So I want you to this time count to three. So on four, say. One, count to three, and then on four, tap. And about a second each. So you kind of know what a second is. Do it again. Okay. Exhale. 1, 2, 3. Better, wasn't it? The second one. So with practice in the group, perhaps you could get better, but that's not the point. The point is being aware. And that's the thing. What's the motivation of doing this? The motivation of doing this is not to be together. And I don't give a stuff when how, really. What does it matter whether you're early or not? Really, the point is when you start to inhale. Okay, now there was another one. You got to begin the phrase together now. That's the other pause. So you've blown out, and there's no air left, and then you inhale together. Okay, that's that pause, the turnaround. And then you've inhaled, and then you play. Now the opposite of this, if you speed it up, when you think about it, and this is kind of an obvious sort of thing, we usually don't meditate in order to have a panic attack. That's usually not our motivation. If I was an actor and you're the, what do they call it, a casting guy? What do you call it, casting guy? The casting guy. Sorry?
The casting director?
Casting director. So you're the casting director and you've got your minions beside you and I'm auditioning for this $1 million role. So I want to get this part, you know, I need the money. So, and they say, okay, right, we're gonna, and your character in this movie has this scene where she panics, or he panics. How would you act that? Okay, so how would I act if I wanted to pretend I was panicking?
Start breathing rapidly.
Yeah. So what does that mean? I inhale and exhale quickly, and there's absolutely minimum turnover time. Right? So, you know, if I go like this and, you know, I don't know. You mean you want me to have a panic attack? I don't have a panic attack. I can't have a panic attack. I don't know. And I get chills doing that, just pretending to do it. I have a panic attack. Wow, really good. Yeah. And so the way we breathe immediately and directly connects us with ourselves. Immediately. For good or bad, for right or for wrong, it does. So okay, so this is again why we do meditation, we do the breathing, the breath. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is, that's just an aside to, you know, slow down. So we want to do the opposite of having a panic attack. I forgot to open my mouth. Damn. And I got to pay you $1. Gotta remember. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're not going to do it. We're going to talk us through. We're going to predict. We're going to practice. We're going to simplify by not putting our flute into the equation yet. So 1, 2, 3, 4. When do I start to blow? That's what we're going to do now. So I want you to pause longer than you normally would, but still play together. So if you start to note before everyone else, way, way, way off, slow down the next time. If you start too late, well, maybe compromise. Maybe everyone else is too fast and you're right, but we're in a group, so we compromise. Okay? You got it? So we're going to exhale, and I'll do the first tap, and then on the 4, that's when you got to think. And we've got 3 chances now because there's 3 phrases. Got it? Sometimes it helps to shut your eyes. You don't have to shut your eyes, but often when we meditate, our eyes are shut. It doesn't matter. Have you been shutting your eyes? Is it better or worse? Pay attention. Try it. There's no wrong way to do it. If it works for you, it's good. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. But that was great. That was great. You were paying attention, weren't you? You were really, really paying attention. You were meditating. And it was quiet, too. That was brilliant. But it wasn't very good, was it? It was still pretty loud. So let's try it again. Do it again. So, okay, so the takeaway is most of us started too late. Okay, so. 2, 3. you're counting to 4 and you stop at a different time, then your 4 is going to be wrong. So if you're the last person playing and you're playing too long, don't be, you don't want to be left. It's like, okay, you're all lined up. Volunteer, step forward, and everyone steps back except you. You don't want to be that person. You don't want to be the volunteer, right? So don't be last. Finish before it. If you don't finish soon enough, you're going to be last. Don't be last, okay? However, you don't want to be too early either. But I want you to start counting when you hear people stop. When you hear the group stop, do it again. And then the beginning, make it better. It was getting a bit better, but try it again. So I'll count the first 4. I'll count the first 3, then you tap. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so the first one was really lousy, wasn't it? Really bad. And the second start, in other words, and the taps are off. Well, there's taps all over the place. It's like rain. So on the one hand, like I say, that's really bad. We got to practice more. On the other hand, what's the motivation of doing this? It's not to synchronize the taps, is it? If it was, then okay, let's sort that out. We got to synchronize this, like dancers. But that's not the motivation. The motivation is to be fully in the present, connected with ourselves. And so on the one hand, you can be lousy but not. Or on the one hand, you failed but you didn't, right? So that's the thing. And then the final thing, really, with all that we're doing, it's just a game, isn't it? We're trying to, it's fun to see if can we tap together, can we breathe together. It's a game. So we're playing a game. And it's a serious game. If you lose the game, you die stupid. Or if you lose the game, you're all you have panic attacks. Or if you lose the game, you don't function as well. Or if you lose the game, your relationships mess up. Or if you lose the game, you lose your job. Or if you lose it, so there are serious repercussions of losing the game. But it's still a game. It's just a game. And when does the game end? Yeah, it's gonna end, mate. Your game will end. And so, you wanna have fun playing the game while you can, even though there are serious repercussions if you lose the game, right? So, okay. So how many exercises did we go through this morning that we can use our flute as a meditation? And how many of it had to do with super long sounds, slowing it down, and relaxing more. And you shut your eyes and you scan your body. And now you can feel your neck and your shoulders are relaxing. Hands are relaxing, and you can feel your bottom in the chair. You can feel that chair, and you can feel your legs, and your feet are touching the ground, and you can feel your feet in your shoes, and and your feet are warm in your shoes, unless you're wearing sandals, and so forth. Nothing like that. But is that meditation? Of course it is. Of course that was meditation. Body scan? That's one of the oldest forms of meditation. You don't use your flute though. Right? There's no wrong ways, there's no better ways to use your shakuhachi as meditations. How to use the shakuhachi as meditation? By paying attention. You can play your piece in front of people as meditation. Usually it isn't. 9 times out of 10 it's not. You can play your piece at a competition that occurs at a World Shakuhachi Festival, and everyone's going to judge you. Not everyone, but everyone will, but only 10 people or whatever actually, and you're being judged, and that can be a meditation. Maybe the winner will be able to do that as a meditation. Maybe that's how they win. You can do it while you're teaching someone else. You can do it while you're in your room practicing. You can do it anytime. So how you meditate is determined. How to meditate, how to meditate with your shakuhachi is up to you. There is no one right way to do it. I gave you some samples. I gave you some examples. I gave you quite a few examples. And we could be here for the rest of the day, keep coming up with examples of how to meditate with your breath, how to meditate with your breath using your shakuhachi. I didn't even start with medi. You know, shakuhachi is a wind instrument, and all wind instruments use their breath, so what's the shakuhachi? Why is the shakuhachi so special, other than we chose it? So it's got to be special. It's because we can medi kari, right? Well, saxophones can too, but it's not as important, and they don't have to. They've got all the keys. We have to. Right? We have to medi. Okay, medi to medi. Okay, we've got another, when do we stop? 12:30?
Yeah.
Okay, so I got a few minutes. I want time for questions. Let's do a bit of medi. A whole nother thing. I could do dynamics. That's another one. Meditation on dynamics. I could spend 30 minutes on how to meditate using loud soft or soft loud. Not as technique. We're not doing it for technique. We're not doing it because that's how the piece goes. We're doing it as meditation. We're doing it so we can pay attention. What's happening? What's happening? Where's that work? Medikari is perfect. Let's try that. Let's get a row. Okay. Now I want you to just medi down till there's no sound. Slowly. Okay, I want you to same dynamics and meditate and medi as far down as you can. It's not going to be as long, right? I know you're going to run out. The sound will disappear sooner because we're not getting softer. Because you have to get softer in order to medi, right? But we're not doing this to medi. This is not a technique, an exercise on how to get better at mediing. It's a technique of how to use medi to meditate. How to use your shakuhachi to meditate, where we're specifically using a technique. So, same dynamic, same airflow. Ready? You got softer. No, don't get softer. Listen, watch. If you go, you can go forever. No. It's not that. It's that. That's what I want you to do. Here we go, ready? If you're making sound for more than 3 seconds, you're doing it wrong. Okay? How do I know that? Because I think could be wrong, and it's not a ego thing. I think I've practiced more than everyone in this room, so therefore I kind of think I'm better. I could be wrong. I could be wrong, and I can only do this for about 3 seconds. So maybe you're better than me, but you surely can't do it for 5. You definitely can't do it for 10. If you're doing what I'm asking you to do, which is to blow the same amount of air and try to medi, and it'll sound like this. Okay? Some of you are still meddying. And that's your brain predicting you, oh, this is medi, I got to medi at all costs. Even if it means I'm going to, to hell with what Riley's saying, I'm going to medi. That's an example. Now, the other example is to go as far as you can. Go as far down as you can. So. Off you go. If you can hear yourself over everyone else, you're playing too loudly. See how soft that was? Try it. Go ahead. Softer and lower. Softer and lower. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Lower. 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 Come on. What is the difference between doing that as an exercise in medi and doing that as meditation? It's the motivation. It's just the game. I'm not trying to do that so I can do my Rodai medis, and people say, wow, he can do Rodai medis. No, I'm doing it because it's just fun, and I want to see how far I can go. And while I'm doing that, I'm totally involved in doing that. I'm doing that. I'm not thinking about going to the bank today. I'm doing that, right? That's the difference. So motivation, how, what, why, motivation. And finally, what was the final thing? The other thing that I said, you could leave now once I tell you this. Effort. Without effort ain't gonna happen. What's effort? Well, we could spend another hour here talking about effort, but effort means it's your responsibility to do it. If it's not working, well, that's your responsibility. It's not your fault. There's no fault to do with it. It's just you gotta put more effort into it. Any questions? Yes?
Where to get this effort when I feel kind of like tired after work, or maybe kind of like a little sleepy or a little lazy? Where to get this effort?
Effort is relative. If you're tired, say you're weak. Okay, if you're weak, you can lift 30 kilos. If you're strong and you're not tired, you can lift 60 kilos. Okay, which requires more effort? They're the same. So effort is relative. So when you're tired and you're asking the wrong question. You're not asking the question about effort. You're phrasing your question differently. You're saying, when I'm tired and I don't have time and I've got all these pressures and it's life, and how can I still practice my Shakuhachi with the effort that I want? That's the question. Because even just thinking about, I'd really like to play the Shakuhachi tonight, but I'm so tired, that's effort. Right? Or even picking up, I wish I could play the Shakuhachi. That's effort. All that's effort. It's just not much. But it's a lot if you're super tired. And if you're on your deathbed, I'm dying, and I go to lift my Shakuhachi, that's effort. It's all relative. So effort's really thinking about it, isn't it? just thinking about the Shakuhachi's effort. So, okay, any other questions?
What to do when you find yourself in performance mindset when you're practicing, and bring yourself back to meditation as to thinking that you're.
What do you do when you're in the performance mode while you're practicing and you want to bring yourself back to meditation?
As if there's any duality between the two, which there probably isn't, but
Yeah, that's what I was going to
but
say. So you answered yourself. What's the difference between performing and practicing? Well, that's a whole other thing. The difference between performance and practicing, and you can practice performing, and you can practice. You can get better at practice. That's useful because you only got so many minutes to practice. You can practice better in 5 minutes than someone else takes 10 minutes to do the same thing. Well, that's good. But that's still just practice. And performing, well, you can practice performing. You get better at performing by practicing performing. That's a whole other issue. And how do you make that into meditation? Well, how, what, why, being fully in the present, connected to myself, regardless of what I'm doing.
on the cushion, off the cushion, the difference.
Well, yeah, there is a difference. Your motivation changes. Unless, you can make that big step and say, my whole motivation of living is to meditate. And there are places you can do that. They allow you to do that. They'll take care of your food, and they'll tell you when to shit, and the whole thing. And all you can do, you just meditate. No, seriously, if that's what you want to do. But if not, you switch on and off, don't you? Any other questions? I can't hear you. Sorry. Even with my hearing aids, I can't hear you.
At Chakra Camp, you showed us a really deliberate way to start.
Yeah, I did.
Would you be willing to show that again?
There's nothing to do with meditation, but it's ritual.
Yeah.
Ritual is very good with meditation. If you want to do something, it's prediction. Just like as soon as you put your food in your mouth, your brain thinks, oh, blah, blah, blah. So if you do the same act before you try to attempt something else, athletes, they're really good at ritual. So whenever they go to the starting block, there's a starter, and then they bend down and they put their feet in one, they put their feet in the other, and they do different things. They do it every time. They do it the same way, every single time. There's one guy, he was a boxer, middleweight champion boxer, and one of his rituals was before he went on the ring, he would go to his bag and he would pet his stuffed toy. He had a fox or something. So it doesn't matter what you do, but it's a ritual. Anyway, so the ritual of Shakuhachi, this is my first teacher, my second teacher taught me. You hold your flute like this, and you can do this if you like very quickly, then we gotta go. Oh, we're past time. I'm just gonna show you because we're no more time. Hold my flute like that, my hand, I can feel the holes there, I can feel the holes, but I'm not really covering. This hand goes over there, and this brings up to my head. These are already there because I could feel them, and then I come down where the holes are. And then when I come back up, I do the same. And it kind of looks cool. And there's also etiquette in Japanese, things to do with your mouth, like teeth, toothpick. You want. So it also covers your mouth when you connect. That's another etiquette thing. But it's ritual. That's all. Thank you very much. You've been a great.